The most aggressive game of the night definitely is handed to this Big Ten matchup. And no surprise, we're talking aggressive basketball. We're talking Big Ten Conference. We're talking number six versus number nine. Indiana defeats Maryland 68-61 in this one. And it was a fantastic matchup. You thought that Maryland had a chance to come back. Diamond Miller really woke up in the second half. She wound up, with 19 points in this one, with really only 2 points. And in the first half, she woke up in the second, but it wasn't enough for players like for Berger, for Mackenzie Holmes, who just played a fantastic matchup for Indiana. Mackenzie Holmes, it's so nice seeing her play some good basketball. Berger looking pretty healthy in this one, and it was enough. Sam Parrish looked really good as well. It was enough for Sydney Parrish, I'm sorry. But it was enough for Indiana to really step up and win this game. We're talking about a top 10 win for Indiana. It's you got to always put the speculation in here now. Do we move Indiana into the top five, Steve?
Well, I mean, the last couple of times we're moving a lot of teams into the top. I think we've got 8 teams in the top five now, so I think we have to be a little careful. But if you have a big conference win like this, again, it is at home, but you're supposed to win your home contest, especially in conference. And for me, I mean, Mackenzie Holmes, I don't want to say that she kept the Hoosiers afloat while Berger was out, but I mean, she's had a terrific season so far. And what's she at 21 points a game? And she's just a little bit below that this time. But I mean, Mackenzie Holmes is a terrific player. You can work Berger back into the lineup. I like Sydney Parrish a whole lot. She had a really nice game from the floor. She was 3 from 7 for 3 points. I mean, if you're flirting with 40% from 3 point, okay, you had a pretty good shooting night. The Hoosiers showed that you got to pay attention. And it's not like Maryland is a pushover. The fact that Diamond Miller had that rough first half, that certainly didn't help matters, I think, for the Lady Terrapins. But you got to hand it to Indiana. I think they were a little frustrated with kind of getting disrespected, I think, early in the year. And I think they're out to prove their point that, okay, you keep talking about Ohio State and all these other teams. We need to be in that same breath and that same conversation.
Yeah, I think same breath, same conversation is a really good way to put it. And I always love talking. Again, I'm going to go back to the speculation of top five. I don't know if you can move them any higher unless a team loses ahead. Obviously, South Carolina's not going anywhere. We know the Stanford situation of them at number two, but Ohio State's still undefeated. They haven't lost at number three. LSU at number five is undefeated. And then you got UConn right between them at 13-2. What they're doing with the wins with as small of a roster they have right now,
Mm-hmm.
and still having impressive wins, I think you can't move them out of the top five. So I think Indiana's kind of stuck until we see one of those teams lose. But as long as they keep winning, I think it's going to be pretty close. But yeah, number six is basically top five. If we're being completely honest, when we look at this squad, there's a lot of really good things to be excited about. I mean, this team is really excited. Sweet 16 last season. So we're talking about, can they get into the Elite Eight? This is a team that can make that next step, I think. And we're talking about players like Holmes and Parrish and Berger, and they're not just the only ones. They have some great role players as well on that squad. I think Indiana can make that next step. If you're going to talk to me right now, and obviously their rankings prove it as sitting at number six in the nation, but I do believe that this team could be, as long as the dice and everything lines up great and easily. I wouldn't easily probably not the best word, but they can be an Elite Eight team.
Yeah, and this is going to come out like I'm trying to knock Stanford again, and I'm going back to this conversation. Are they really playing at a level that they stay at number two? These teams behind them, I mean, LSU has been just amazing. Ohio State is terrific. I think Ohio State really is the number two team in the country. We talked about UConn. It seems every week they amaze us again with some special play and gutsy play, and people coming back off injuries or having to cover for someone that's injured. For me, if somebody was telling me, if a Hoosier fan's talking to us live and saying, well, I think the Hoosiers should move in the top five and Stanford should drop down to six, I don't know that I would argue with that, because Stanford's really struggled. I think they're winning, and that, again, it's all about winning. But I think they've struggled a lot to gain some of those wins. And Indiana has proven that they can be a dominant team at points. So what do you, maybe I'm going too far on that, dropping Stanford from 2 to 6, but I don't see. I think it's a lazy vote keeping Stanford at number 2. Let's keep it.
That's
Let's put it at that.
Well, tonight, Friday night, we're going to see them take on number 8 UCLA, Stanford at 11 o'clock Eastern time. So you might have your answer right there. They did struggle against Cal. They only won by 4 points, if you want to call that a struggle. And I think you should, if they're a number 2 team in the nation. They did put the hurt on number 15 Arizona, though, just the game before that. So I think this is the lesson. If Stanford can beat UCLA and put a hurt on them, or at least win convincingly, then no doubt in my mind they're number 2 in the country. However, if they lose, this is Indiana's spot for them to hop in the top 5. Like we mentioned, they're waiting for a team to lose. Let's talk about this other side of the ball. Maryland, they played a great game. It was just at the end of the game, it just wasn't enough. Their shots started not to fall. They were very aggressive in this entire game. Diamond Miller showed up in the second half, and I know I mentioned at the beginning, but they found a way to stick in it in the first half while she was struggling. And when they came back out in the second half, the game plan changed. Diamond Miller, she was just doing some fantastic things and wound up ending up with, a really impressive game. 19 points, 5 for 13 from the field. She had a lot of free throws. She had 6 rebounds in this one. Looked really, really good. I like this Maryland squad still. I still think that they are a fantastic team. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for them. But you have to pay attention a little bit more now. They already got 2 losses in the Big Ten. And yes, we do play 20 of those games. So we have a lot of time to still pay attention. But when you sit at already 2 losses in a very, very tough conference, we're talking that's putting you down in like 5th or 6th place. That's something to really be worried about when you're getting your seeding and getting ready for tournament play in just a little over a month away, Steve.
Yeah, and you make a great point. I was going to say, I think we're starting to see potentially some separation between what you would consider the top 4 seeds in the conference, and then seeds 5 through 7 or 5 through 8. I think you made a really great point there. I like this Maryland team. I think that they have not reached their full potential yet. I think there's still a lot that can come. Diamond Miller has been terrific, but I think that there's more coming from players like Sellers and there's Abby Myers. Abby Myers kind of had an off night for her, but Abby Myers is pretty outstanding. But I'm wondering if we're starting to see in the Big Ten a little bit of separation between the really dominant, really, I don't want to say impactful, but we'll just stick with the really dominant teams in the conference, and then the teams that sort of just kind of struggle a little bit.
That's a good point. As for Maryland, coming up next, they got Rutgers on Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Rutgers is struggling 7-10. They're at the bottom or towards the bottom in the Big Ten Conference. Could be a nice rebounding game after that loss to Indiana. As for the Lady Hoosiers, there's going to be a tough matchup, I think. They got Wisconsin. That's not a tough matchup. But right after that, Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern, they're going to go and take on number 24 ranked Illinois. 14-3 so far. That should be a really, really good game. I think they're going through the gauntlet after the Wisconsin game. They got Illinois, Michigan, Ohio State for the next 3 of the 4 games. So if Indiana, if we think they're for real, if we think they're deserving of a top 5 team, and with this performance, this aggressive performance I saw for them tonight, I think they have the opportunity to really put some work in against some of these teams. If they can find a way to win out to get to the Ohio State game, that game could get really ugly, could get really good, and could be really excited. That might be the game of the year if we get both those teams at 18-1 and 20-0 when they face off against each other. So that could be a really, really fun matchup, Steve.
Yeah, and I think the matchup is a great word to use, because I think they match up well. I would imagine that is going to be more of a run and gun contest. I think that both teams, especially early, are going to try to push the tempo, see if they can get the other side to stumble. But we got games, like you said, we've got games in between. I haven't seen Wisconsin yet. That game's at Wisconsin.
No, no, it's in Indiana. They are currently 6-11. They're struggling a little bit this season.
Yeah.
They are 2-4 in the Big Ten. They have some tough times, and they're also 2-4 away this year. So not looking
Okay.
good on the
Yeah.
road for the Lady Badgers.
Okay. Well, let's rewind. Let's edit that out because I'm thinking the game was at Wisconsin.
Never edit out. Never edit out. You get raw slasher you here.
Yeah. We have Raw Slasher U and dopey Steve Beck. So yeah, it's hand in hand. I'm sure a lot of people want to take the U and use my little nickname and put them together, and that's how they feel about it. But I mean, if this game was on the road at Wisconsin, I can see it being a game for a while. But yeah, if it's at Indiana, yeah, that it's never no game's ever a breather. But I think that gives Indiana some time to tinker a little bit going into that 3-game stretch. It's going to be brutal for them.
Yeah, well, you can never breathe in the Big Ten. There's no doubt about that. Let us know your thoughts in the comment description below. Hit like and subscribe while you're there. And thanks for watching Slasher U.